So I wrote My Side when I was 18 at the end of my freshman year in college. What was the song about? Love, of course, unrequited love, but with a twist. I had gotten over this person came back to me, and I kind of said, whoa, what's going on? And essentially that's where the my side, your side thing kind of came out. So My Side is fundamentally a pretty simple pop song, but what makes the record interesting, in my opinion, are all the little decisions that keep the simplicity of the song from becoming monotonous. So let me take you through that. So one of the things I still love about the song is that the music is a lot happier than the story or the subject matter. This is a classic Motown approach, right? I Want You Back by the Jackson 5, genius. And my personal favorite, Tracks of My Tears by Smokey Robinson and the Miracles. If you listen to the bridge, my smile is my makeup I wear since my breakup with you, devastating lyrics set amidst amazingly happy and buoyant and catchy music. So I tried to do this with My Side as well. When I first wrote this song, it was essentially over the same 4-chord loop for the verse, the pre-chorus, and the chorus. And it was A, F sharp minor, D, E. A, F sharp minor, 1, 6, 4, 5. Again and again and again. And the pre-chorus sounded like this at the time. You know, want a little bit more. I don't think the love's in store, so hey, what you doing aside? Back to the chorus. So now I want to talk about Stephen Lotwis. He was a Berklee College of Music graduate. He was my vocal and guitar teacher for several years when I was an undergrad, and he's somebody I really trusted in terms of music and his ears. And he said to me, Andy, you know, it might make more sense to put the pre-chorus under a different set of chords to give the song some variety. So that's when I had the aha moment. If you put the pre-chorus under a different set of chords, then you get this. You know, want a little bit more. You don't think that love's in store, so hey, what you doing aside? Again, C sharp minor 7, F sharp minor 7, B minor 7, and then D, E. And then all of a sudden, the song breathes. It has different definitions, it has different color, and then the verse is distinct from the pre-chorus, and it makes you hunger and want the chorus. So the Prince theory of songwriting is a technique where the verse melody and the chorus melody are nearly identical. And so I Want to Be Your Lover by Prince is this classic example where that's the case. And why that works is you establish the melody in the verse, it's an earworm. You use the pre-chorus with a different melody and a different harmony to kind of give you a break. An audio palate cleanser, if you think about it. You know, when you go to a fancy restaurant, they give you sorbet to clean your palate. The pre-chorus serves that. And then you're hungering and you're waiting for that melody again, and you get the payoff in the chorus. So I did this in My Side completely unintentionally, all subconsciously. And as I mentioned in chapter 1, because now the pre-chorus has a different harmonic underpinning to it, it also serves that purpose. The, hey, what you doing on my side, why are you walking on my side, in the verse is melodically identical to, hey, why are you walking on my side, what you doing on my side, etc. But the pre-chorus breaks it up, and it gives you that kind of payoff. So then teenage Andy did something with the structure that present-day Andy would never do. Pop songs are typically adherent to form and structure. And one of the most classic forms is verse, a pre-chorus, and a chorus. Repeat that again. Verse, pre-chorus, chorus, then a bridge, and then typically a solo or a chorus outro, and that's your pop song. But what did I do? I put the bridge after the very first chorus. Verse 1, pre-chorus 1, chorus 1, bridge, and then verse 2. So who does that? Apparently 18-year-old me does that. And the second weird thing is the bridge doesn't really have a new harmony or melody. It grows out of the pre-chorus, and it's really just the pre-chorus twice as long. Now, when I was re-recording the song, I could have said, wow, that was a stupid move, and I could have done it more conventionally and put the bridge after the second chorus. But I figured it's a time capsule. It was who I was at that time, and that idiosyncratic kind of weird arrangement is good, so I left it as is. So writing a song and arranging a song are two completely different things. Okay? The song gives you the melody, the lyrics, and the harmony. It's essentially a foundation, a blueprint. The arrangement is how you dress it up. What instruments are actually playing? Is there piano here? Is there guitar here? When do they come in and when do they come out? What do they leave out? What little ideas do they keep adding to pull your ear forward through the song? That's arrangement. So now I'd like to introduce you to my dear friend, Peter Wilson. Peter and I met in college. I recruited him to join my first rock and roll band. Peter was left blind by a childhood cancer called retinoblastoma. And so he developed these amazing auditory compensatory skills. He had the most amazing ears you could imagine. He could pick anything up by ear in a nanosecond. And he was a brilliant keyboard and piano player. So when I wanted to perform my side, and we were working with a band, this is when I began to understand the importance of arrangement. Peter would come up with these amazing piano parts. I would sing a line of vocal melody. He would respond with a beautiful piano fill. We came up with this amazing piano solo that I'll talk to you about later. When the harmony underneath a song is as simple as it is in my side and as repetitive as it is, these little arrangement choices become incredibly important. Without them, the song becomes really boring really quickly. So initially, my side was very piano-centric. In the 1990s, in my band Coloring Tunes, we didn't have a keyboard player. So our amazing sax player, Dan Bossart, played that role with the fills and the solo, and that version was great as well. More recently, I tried to make it more guitar-centric with a guitar solo. But I kept coming back to the piano. I've heard this song dressed up a lot of different ways, but the piano is the key. That felt like the heart of the song. And so that's why when I re-recorded it, I stuck with the piano arrangement that Peter helped create. So there's one other thing about this arrangement that is deeply unfashionable, even verboten in 2026. It has a piano solo. And not only that, it's a 32-bar piano solo that lasts nearly 50 seconds. So obviously I'm of a generation that grew up with instrumental solos, and I love them. But I also understand not every song needs a solo, and it's quite the opposite, right? I didn't want to make a Dazed and Confused with a 15-minute guitar solo, Madison Square Garden version. But at the same time, it was so special that I wanted to keep it, again, as a time capsule, maybe as a dedication, an homage to Peter. So in the end, I made the record that I wanted to hear. And that meant keeping Peter's solo in its entirety. All 32 bars, nearly 50 seconds long. But the interesting thing is we made some arrangement choices that I think made the solo even pop out more. So I want to take you through them step by step. So in the first section, Sean, Jake, and I are doing these syncopated hits. As you can see here in the 1, the 3, and the 4 and of bar 1, and the 1 and 3 and 4 and 4 and of bar 2. And then we start transitioning back to the more conventional rhythm section that you heard before, as Peter kind of develops his melodic lines and kind of moves the solo forward. And then, as we enter into section 3, I start doing power chords, channeling my inner Peter Townsend to kind of give it some more emotional lift as we kind of get out of the solo and get right back into the rhythm. So the funny thing is, we didn't perform it this way when Peter and I played together. We kind of reverse engineered this rhythm section arrangement based on Peter's amazing solo to give it a little bit of extra structure and I think a little bit of emotional lift. And I really think Peter would appreciate it and like what we did. So here's one of the basic problems in pop music. Repetition is what makes something catchy, but repetition is also what can make something really boring. So the end of my side is essentially a cycling continuous chorus where I say, hey, what you doing on my side? What you doing on my side? And this is a common convention in pop music. The Police, whom I adore and love, in Message in a Bottle, Sting sings Sending Out an SOS over 30 times. The repetition is the hook, so you don't want to eliminate it. So instead, you keep changing the environment around it to make it interesting. So one of the things I try to do to combat this repetition, monotony, boredom thing is I change the vocal melody at select parts of this outro. So let's take a listen. What you doing, my son? Whoa. So at the end of the song, the last chorus, and I'm going to play you this with the vocals removed so you can really hear. Everybody adds something a little bit different to make the end of the song a bit more exciting. Jake kind of changes the energy on the drums. It's not quite a double time fill, but he's playing a little bit busier, more fills. Sean Hurley's doing some bass fills as well, and also increasing kind of the tempo of his bass line. And Dave Cohen is playing this upper register piano part, all with the purpose of what? Making it a bit more interesting as we close out the song. So in the end, a good, great pop record gives you two pleasures at the same time. The satisfaction of repetition and hearing that earworm again and again, and the thrill of surprise when something unexpected comes in the arrangement. And that's really what I love about making records. The song can be incredibly simple, but every one of these little decisions makes a difference. What chords do you put under that pre-chorus melody? Where does the bridge go? What does that piano fill accomplish? The drum fill, a 32-bar piano solo. All of it changes the way you experience a song. So I think John Fogerty put it the best. There's a big difference between writing a good song and making a good record. A song is the blueprint, the foundation, as I mentioned before. It's the vocal melody, the lyrics, the harmony, and the record is the totality of all those multitudes of choices of arrangement and production that ultimately can make a record so incredible that you keep wanting to listen to it again and again and again. So the next time you listen to my side, see how many of these little things you notice, and maybe you'll hear a song a little bit differently than you did before. Thanks.